Well, good morning and welcome to Stroke of Genius podcast. This is a special podcast. I've done a show with Nancy May, which is our guest today, and she's the author of Surviving 911. And we did a show together, a podcast together in the executive C-suite community. And today I'm bringing her to you survivors, caregivers, um, sports community because I think it's really, really important and you know what she's about to tell you. Everybody, this applies to everyone around the world, in my opinion. Everybody should know this. So let's jump right into it. We got 30 minutes together. And remember, please subscribe to our Stroke TV Media YouTube channel. So let's get right into it.
Fire.
Well, good morning, Nancy May.
Hey, good morning, Aaron. Great to be with you again here today.
It's really great to be with you, and I'm so glad you're here because I think you bring that value to the community that I will continue to promote. So I'll be doing a show together every 3 months because it's not about it's not about you being out of selling books or it's about helping people. And what you're doing is helping people. And I have the utmost respect for that. And please introduce yourself to everybody.
So, my name is Nancy May. I'm the author of How to Survive 911 Medical Emergencies, a step-by-step guide before, during, and after. So, it's not just during the process, it's how do you get there. And I have a company called CareManity, which is the idea of bringing a little bit more gentleness and humanity back into the care world so that we and those that we care for do not become physically, emotionally, and financially broken or broke. That's real important to me, and it should be to you too. And I have a podcast called eldercaresuccess.com, and I come out of the corporate world, which is also as a corporate entrepreneur working with public company boards of directors and helping those who want to get on their first paid public company board. So I know how to speak two languages.
Yeah, brilliant. You do for sure. So repeat that again. Your other kind of name under is elder care. What repeat it slowly.
Elder Care Success is the podcast, and that's available at eldercaresuccess.live. And what we do is in the podcast, as well as other things, is talk about different ways, tools, tips, and resources to make that part of our lives where we are caring for somebody that we love. It might even be ourselves. Easier, both emotionally, physically, and financially, so we don't end up becoming broken or broke.
Yeah, I definitely can see that, man. So many survivors I know around the world, their loved one has an event or stroke.
Mhm.
But I call that the ripple effect of stroke. It ripples across the family members, friends, everything. Next thing you know, because we became the same thing. We became just really isolated financially,
Yep.
and it's really good what you're doing, preparing everybody to cope with this because it can happen to everybody, right? There's two things we can avoid: death and taxes. Everybody is gonna die. I'm gonna maybe go in the hospital, maybe have to survive 911. So I really appreciate what you're doing. So how does surviving 911 help? What's it all about? Tell us what it's all about.
So the need to call 911 happens in a matter of seconds, right? You're typically not prepared to do so, although we're we're quite often told or taught as children, that 911 is something that we need to call in case of an emergency. But what is that emergency? And as adults, I think what happens is we grow into a point where we feel that we can take care of things because we're taught to be the adult in the room, right? However, that panic happens when we can't take care of it. Somebody's having a stroke or a heart attack or is bleeding so profusely that we don't know what to do. And we think jumping in the car and taking somebody to the emergency room is the fastest way to get it done. Not necessarily. And in order to be prepared to do so, to know how to dial, we know what the numbers are, 911. There's this sense of sometimes hesitation to even want to dial. And it's important to know not just how to dial, but how to prepare in case there is an emergency. Because guaranteed, at some point in your life, if you have children, you've dealt with an emergency situation at some point. Scrapes and scratches don't count, but major situations do happen. Concussions on the football field with kids, or soccer field, or car accidents with teenagers. Geez, that's God forbid, but it does happen. And then as we get older, or as our parents get older, or our spouse, things change, and we wait far too long to do that. But even knowing how to make sure that an ambulance can find you, especially if you're in a rural community, is so important. And even in cities, you'd be surprised how many buildings where people live have numbers on them, but you can't see them as you drive by because they're silver and shiny and they look beautiful with the design of the structure of the front door. But as you go by, your eye can't see them. And there are thousands of buildings and housing structures in cities and even rural communities. And those ambulances, emergency responders, those first responders, whether it be a police, a fire, or an EMT, have to figure out how to get there. And those people change time and time again. It's they go in them from a career perspective, but people come in and out of those jobs. And knowing how to find you is the first step in getting the help that you need. So that's the first thing. I mean, just even knowing how to make sure that your home and where you live is easily found. Even if there's an emergency that's happening out in the road and you're in, let's say, out on a street somewhere driving and there are no signs, you have to be able to tell somebody how to find you. And that's part of what we cover. But just as important is to understand the emergency response system that works in the hospital. How do you get better care? Because if you've been in an emergency room, you know how long that wait is. And some hospitals have the signs now out front, 2 minutes to waiting in ER. Well, that's maybe for 2 minutes before somebody says, hello, could you give me your name? And what is your insurance number? Excuse me, I'm bleeding to death here. I'm having a stroke. Fix it out, right? But knowing how to do that, that's part of what we also cover in there. And then just even making sure that you're getting the right care and support in the hospital, because they don't always read your lineup of prescriptions and get it right. Or I've got one story of a woman. I was talking to somebody the other week, and they said this was a caregiver in a rehab facility, and one of her clients or patients in that facility was screaming for hours, and she couldn't, well, maybe not quite hours, but it seemed like a long time, and she couldn't figure out why. So she goes, it wasn't her patient, it was somebody else's. So she goes down, and here's this woman falling out of bed trying to get help, and nobody was helping her. So those real life situations happen. How do you make sure that you're going to get the best care so that you don't end up being a victim again in a care facility is so important, whether it be a hospital, a rehab, at home, and then even how to dial 911 when the 911 system is down, and they do go down.
So I'm curious. Let's take it step by step, because I really want everybody to understand there's things you could do to make a 911 experience survivable, just like your book.
Absolutely.
So we have an medical emergency. We have determined that it's time to dial 911. What can we do as survivors, as caregivers, as people to take us into the next step? So now I've dialed 911. What documents can I have ready when they get there?
So when you dial 911, it doesn't stop there. You'll get a dispatcher, and the dispatcher will say, "What is your medical emergency?" Let them know immediately up front what it is. If it's a medical emergency, you let them know it's a medical emergency. If it's a fire emergency, you let them know it's a fire emergency. If it's a robbery or break-in, you let them know that, because there are different responders for different incidences, and that's critical. If you think you're having a stroke or a heart attack, or somebody else is having a stroke and a heart attack, you say, "Hello, this is Nancy May. I'm here with my husband. I believe he's having a stroke. I don't know what to do. I need medical emergency help now." And they will get you to the right person. Then stay on the line. Do not hang up. Because if you do hang up, you go to the back of the line again. They will tell you what's going on. They will tell you what to do until somebody gets there. You find out exactly how long the paramedics or EMTs are away from you, if they're having any problems getting to you, if there's anything that could impede their ability to reach you. So, not having a number on your mailbox, letting the dispatcher know, "We're down this dirt road. Our mailbox doesn't have a number on it, but it's red, and this is how you get down the driveway, because it forks and goes to one side may go to the neighbor, but the other side goes to us. This is where we are."
The- that Nancy, honestly, I think this is why I consider what you do. It's not just a book, it's a movement. It's really everybody should know what we're discussing right now.
Mhm.
They should know how to deal with 911. Everybody should know this. So if you're out there, you should go out. I'm not trying to push Nancy's book. Because I believe you better get it because it's a movement. It's something everybody should know. Go to Amazon, sir, or you sell on your website better get that thing. Don't you say what's best way to get your book?
Amazon, go to Amazon. And you just type in "how to survive 911 medical emergencies." It'll pop up. It's
Uh,
um, it's got a big red stripe line, in the middle there, so you can see it. It says 911 on it, and it's easy to do. I'm going to also say that not every medical emergency happens at home. They can happen at a mall or at a restaurant, and not everybody is prepared. If you know how to do these and work through these steps, then you should be the one in charge. If somebody falls or hurts themselves, there likely be a group of bystanders who will say, "We need to get help. We need to get help." Seconds matter in a life and death or even a major accident situation. Somebody could be going into shock and you don't know it. You get in charge. You be in charge. And you tell people in the crowd who look like they can step in and do something, you say, "You in the blue shirt, go get help. You in the orange shirt, you go do this." So, and then you stay with the person who needs the help, who's actually going through the emergency themselves, to keep them calm, relaxed, and as comfortable as possible, so that the bystanders can actually execute what you need in order to get the responders to you as soon as possible.
yeah, that's just
That's
right
when
there.
leadership is a big issue in this one, right?
That's they don't teach in school. They don't teach
No.
children how to deal or survive 911, how to take a step and be a leader and really survive 911. So God bless you for what you're doing. I think it's like that's a service movement. I'm here to help you. I think it's amazing. But a good, let's go. We go back to a little bit. We done 911 right home. Now you and I discussed about a form. Let's talk about that document that all of us should
Oh,
have.
the file of life. Yes.
Uh, we'll just explain that.
The file of life. If you go to howtosurvive911.com, you can get a free file of life. And a file of life is very simple. It's a 2-sheet. It's front and back. You print it out front and back piece of paper that has all your medical information, who you are, your name, your date of birth, your doctor's connections, who is the closest family member that they can reach in case you can't speak for yourself, so they know what to do or how to reach somebody if you're not physically able to talk for yourself or communicate. All your allergies, prescription drugs, any surgeries or any implants that you might have. So, for example, if you have a pacemaker and somebody tries to use an AED, which is the heart pump machine, the automatic CPR machine, that could be deadly. So you want to make sure that any paramedic or any medical professional knows that that is implanted in your body so that they don't use that. They have other ways to do that, to use CPR on you. So this file of life is something that everybody should have. I think as soon as you are born, you should have one of these. They should be on your refrigerator. Some people say keep it in your freezer, ICE, in case of emergency. But my joke is I really don't want a paramedic, searching behind my frozen turkey or trying to find the paper, right? It's not good. So even if it is in a plastic bag and it doesn't smell like old food, put it on your refrigerator someplace visible so that anybody can find it easily and quickly in case of emergency. You should have at least 5 copies, one on your refrigerator where anybody can find it. Now, paramedics and EMTs or even police are trained to look for things like this on your refrigerator, important documents, number 1. Number 2, have a copy in your wallet or your purse, someplace that's easy for anybody else to find in case they are looking for an ID or something else. I have a phone that has a flip cover on it that actually has little folders in it. So I have one in there that I keep one in the glove compartment of your car. In case of an emergency, if you have an accident and you're by yourself, a police officer or somebody who finds you will look for your registration to find out who you are. They'll look in your wallet, they'll look for something, and they will probably also look in the glove compartment of your car where your registration is for any other vital information. You should have one to bring with you, or somebody can bring with you to the emergency room. You should give one to the paramedics, and always have a backup copy in case it's lost. Guaranteed they would get lost in the transfer. It happens. And then another copy at home in case it get lost again. You've always got a backup copy at home.
Now, would you repeat slowly if you would? What is the name of the document?
It's called File of Life.
Okay, everybody listen. Go to rescuesurviving911.com and
How to
download.
survive. It's how to. It's right under my how to survive 911.com. There'll be information about the book. You can always buy the book there if that's what you want to do. There's a lot more information in the book than we're covering here, including checklists and things that you need with equipment and everything in your house if you're taking care of somebody older or even yourself. I apologize. I meant to turn that off. Spam calls happen. But yeah. So and then there's an option. There'll be a drop-down menu to sign up to get a free file of life. It is a fillable PDF, so you don't have to scratch it out and erase it. It can be changed anytime you want in the file. Just download it on your phone.
I mean, just that document alone, I'm seeing. I mean, as a stroke, time is brain. The more time takes you, the more brain loss you have. And if you have this document, you reduce your time, minutes, 5, 10, 15, maybe 30 minutes, by having this one simple document. So thank you so much for.
So I'm gonna add one more thing there. I had this big debate with a fellow who's a former paramedic who said, "Oh no, you need to have it as an electronic file on your phone." And I get everybody's into apps and whatnot, but when seconds count, I'm going to look through all the apps on my phone here, and I'm excuse me, give me 10 minutes and I'll find it.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. Just, pull it out. It's, right here, got my files, my documents, and there it is, right? Well, not that one, but I've got other things in there.
Great. So I'm curious, we've done that one. We have the file of life. Now we're about to enter the ER. What is a strategy that we as caregivers or stroke survivors, what strategies do you recommend for optimizing our ER experience?
Sure. Well, the file of life will be huge to the emergency room doctors. Very few actually see them. My husband used it last year when I was up north with a friend and helping her family, and he had cracked open his toe. A hospital bed fell on it. My dad's hospital bed, split it open while there's like blood everywhere, and so he went to the emergency room to get it stitched up because it was pretty bad. And the doctor started to ask questions, or the admittance people started to ask questions, and they said, you don't need to ask any questions. He gave them their file of life to the doctor and to the admissions person, and they're like, oh my God, where did you get this? This is fabulous. We wish everybody would come in with these. It would save lives, literally. So, but when you're in the emergency room, especially if you go in by yourself or with somebody else and there's an emergency situation, if you're having a heart attack, you think you're having a heart attack, you will go to the top of the list of people who need help first, because there are going to be other people there first. And what they do is they organize it based on the most critical emergency gets attention first. So in that case, you walk in and you say, Aaron's having a heart attack right now. He's having a stroke. Please help me now. Let them know in a loud voice. You be a PITA. We call it the pain in the you know what.
Yeah.
And not just from sitting around, but you make your voice heard loud and clear. And you let them know exactly that seconds count in the life of this person that you're caring for, or you're with, or yourself. End of story. Do not wait. Do not put up with anything. Wait your turn. Absolutely not. You go in there, you grab attention, you let them know what's going on. End of story.
Well, how many of us stroke survivors could use that our caregivers or spouses or friends who are family coworkers could use just that tidbit of information and really could have an outcome difference of what we do. So make yourself known, bring in the file of life with us, right? Now we've entered the ER, they got us admitted.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're about to go into the room, we're about to go into the hospital. What tips or hacks or tricks or insights do you have on that?
Well, first of all, you want to know who the doctor is in charge of that particular floor. So make sure you know who are the key people responsible for your care on that floor, in that room, in your particular situation. If it's a large floor, it's going to be more difficult. If you're in an ICU environment, it's a lot easier. You get to know the people, especially now you have an advocate. I mean, ideally, you have an advocate, a family member with you who's able to speak on your behalf. Because if you are the patient, you're going to be tired. You're going to be, you may be drugged up to relieve pain, whatever it is. Just the biggest thing you can do is have a family advocate there with you as often and as long as possible. If it's an
Yeah.
older person, yeah, if it's an older person. So, for example, my mom and dad, anytime they were in the hospital, there was somebody with them at their side that knew their situation, either myself, my sister, or an aide 24/7. We never let them alone. They will always find a place for you to be comfortable. You can get somebody to change out your shift for you, whatever it might be. But making yourself known as an advocate for the patient is so important, because they will listen to you and they will respect your attention and care for that individual who is infirmed.
Yeah, Nancy, there's so much content. We're down the last 5 minutes of the show. But, what would you say of everything we discussed? Maybe what we don't have time to discuss. What are your top two tips or top two advice you give anybody surviving 911? What would they be? What would you make sure we do?
Well, first of all, make sure that somebody can get to you when you need them. Have your file of life, and know your medical history, and then know that you've got to have an advocate. If you don't have an advocate or you live alone, make sure you have a network of individuals who can work there to be support for you, and you be a support to them, because the advocate in the healthcare system is critical. The other is also, know your rights in the hospital. If you're not getting attention, just you learn to be a loud voice and never take the answer no seriously.
Yeah, that's
You want to
kind
get
of
to yes. What is the answer to yes? I need this. Yes, I can get this. I need this kind of help. Yes. Understand the medications that they're giving you, and why, because they may interact with what you have. Not everybody reads the documents on your sheet or your clipboard or whatever wall that they've got with your information on it, including the nurses, the doctors. Somebody says, "Oh, go over there." They may confuse you between the person in the room just on the other side of the curtain from you if you don't have a private room. So really, just learn to stand up for your rights, what you want, and your own safety. A hospital is designed to get you out as soon as possible, and safety is a big key issue in hospitals.
you don't answer. I would have to say, you know, I experienced this firsthand with my wife. She's not a weak person by any means. So when she walked in the hospital, I don't want to say commands, but she walked in there as an authority, as someone to pay attention to.
Yep.
And if someone doesn't see, we're so trained to be submissive because if
In
we're
a medical situation, right? Doctors are gods, right? They
right,
they they know what's going. The surgeon knows what's going on. Not necessarily. They work as teams in fields of expertise. So you are the expert of your body. Think of it that way. And to go in, you're right. Your wife went in with a sense of authority. They respected that. Do not be a wimp when it comes to your healthcare at all. And understand that this sounds a little harsh, but hospitals are designed well, many of them now are taken over by large corporations. And the ultimate customer in a large corporation is the investor and the shareholder, not the patient.
that's real. That's real. That's business.
Yeah, it is business. You have to understand that healthcare is big business, and you happen to be a byproduct of that big business,
Yeah,
and you're replaceable.
it's a, yeah, we can't do with it. Well, we can't, and they know it a
So
lot.
learn to use it. Learn to use it to your benefit.
Right,
And if you're not willing to stand up for that, then it's too easy to become a victim, an unintentional victim of the healthcare system.
right. I've been there more. We're basically out of time, but man, there's so much content here because we're going to get into their ways that I spent $200 on the Advil.
Other ways to save money,
Yeah,
and still get the same quality of care as somebody who has a lot more than you do. And
so
that's important
they
too.
can they really call you when you take the phone call down below? If somebody want to ask a question for you when you take the phone call, I put your phone number on the screen. But can they call you really?
They can, I'd appreciate it if somebody would send me an email first, and so that if I'm talking or working with somebody else, whoever I'm with at that time is my priority. So please understand that. And I will get to you. But if you have a question or you need some help or you want something, you can join the Facebook group, which is Elder Care Success. That is I just ask 3 questions. Please answer the 3 questions, otherwise you don't get admitted. I do that to keep privacy for everybody and make sure that any of the scam artists don't get in. So there's a reason for that. And then you can also direct message me on Facebook, which is easy enough to do too. And then my phone number is there, but do send me an email and say, Nancy, I have some questions. So at least I have a setup as to what those questions might be, and I can be better prepared for a conversation for us.
All right, so I only encourage everybody out there, email Nancy, ask her any question. I know she's a lovely lady and she will help you. She's got a heart, not to sell a book. She's not trying to, her purpose is to help you.
Absolutely. And you know what, the book is there to promote and help the betterment of everybody. Yes, we want to sell books, but we can't help people unless you have a book. And there's a lot more in there than what we've talked about. It's
Oh,
150
yeah, a
pages,
lot.
very easy to read and get through. And we've had PhDs, and actually there's a firefighter I know who said, "Oh my God, and there's stuff in here that I didn't even know about," which is here's a first responder, right? Who
Yeah,
said, "I didn't even know about this."
yeah.
So that's we put a lot of effort and research into it here in this country, because it is a 911 is designed for this U.S.
Well, as we come to close this show, I want to encourage you to email Nancy. Email her. I'm telling you what you
Listen
want.
to the podcast,
Yeah, so
eldercaresuccess.live. It's not
I
just for old people.
tell everybody about when, where, and how. How
So
we,
yeah, the podcast is eldercaresuccess.live. That's the page for the podcast. You can subscribe to it there, or you can subscribe on any of the podcast platforms. It's out there, and we cover a variety of things. I have a little bit more fun in that one, but we did one recently on caregiver burnout. And this summer, I'm doing a series of what I call summer shorts, elder care success style, where we do short little tips along the way to save money and do better for all of us at the same time.
save lives, really, your
Yeah,
time, you could be saving a life, I
yeah.
want to say. But Nancy, I want to thank you so much for being there. Believe it, half an hour with you goes by like 5 minutes. So thank you so much for being there. I encourage everybody to be out there to reach out to Nancy and and go to the website, purchase a book. It'll be the best. What does your book cost, Nancy?
1999. It's
It'll be the
it's the
best.
cheapest way to save a life.
I was about to say that, beat me to it. You're talking $20 to change your life, to make it to where you can survive 911, and how you can optimize your stay in the hospital. It does so much for humanity. So,
May I just share one funny story?
yeah,
There's
please.
a fellow from a large financial institution who wanted to pitch me, and I wasn't interested because I'm very happy and very, very satisfied with our financial advisor. And he bought the book and said, "Well, I bought the book because we were going to have a conversation." And I said, "Scott, so did you read it?" And he said, "No, but I thought it was rather expensive." And I thought,
Oh my
yeah,
goodness.
this is a big financial advice. He's okay, right? And I said, "So you bought the book because we're going to have a conversation. We were going to talk about, and you didn't read it. I hope you gave it to your wife so that she reads it, because she's SOL because you did not read it.
That's true.
At least she can try and save your life. But if you want her around, I suggest you do some homework too."
All right, so everybody out there, if you're watching this, number one, go subscribe to Stroke TV Media and YouTube channel. Two, join Nancy's Facebook group. Email her. Ask her any questions. I know she's a real person. She cares about you, and she will help you as best she can.
And if you can't find me, call Aaron. He'll tell you found
Yeah, well,
me.
you can email me. I'm not like Nancy, very public phone number like that. But Nancy, thank you so much for being here. I can't thank you enough.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much.
All
I
right.
always love speaking with you.
Thank you, you too. I'll talk to you later. Thank you so
Bye
much.
bye.